Hello everybody, this is Arlene from the Carver's Wood Shop. We're going to be doing a little mystery carving today. And let me just move up closer to this. I'm going to just wait and just hang in there. Hello everybody. Wait till a few people come in. Hello James and Hal. We're going to do this little guy, the elf. Santa's little helper. Alright. So, hello Jane, I'm doing fine. How are you? We're going to do Santa's little helper, the elf. This is the 2.5 by 1.5 by 1.5. So, I'm going to start marking this up. I'm going to wait till some more people show up. Hello Ruthie. Hello Wes. So we're going to do a little elf today. Alright. So this is a little guy we're going to do. And we'll see how he works out here. Alright. Good. Alright. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out where his hat goes here. And his ear is down this way. So we're going to bring this down and around. Hang on just a second. That's his nose. Nope. It's got to go higher. Hang on. Alright. Hello Jack and Jenny. Hello Mark. Hello Lynn. Alright. I'm going to start marking where everything has to go here. So we're going to do Santa's little helper, which is the elf. He's got a little pointed ear there, and he's got two little pointed feet. And as a contrast, I decided to make his arms red instead of all green. You can do it all green, it's up to you. So the first thing, it's similar to what we've been doing, it's just going to be a little bit different. Alright? So we'll try to make him somewhat, this is the only second one I've done on this one, so I'm going to bring this down and around. Let's see if we have that up high enough. A little lower. And we're going to mark off where the feet go here. I think I did it here and here. And we're going to bring this down and around. Okay. Hello everybody. Thanks for joining me today. Actually, that's up a little higher. Let me think how I did this. Let me just think this one over for a second, because it's been a while since I've done this. Alright. So the first thing we're going to do is we have his foot right here. And we're going to mark this off a little bit, so we know where his foot is. And remember, it's going to taper off. So we're going to go one way, and we're going to go up and down. That's his foot. Okay. A little bit longer, maybe. Just give me a little leeway here, because this is Santa's little helper that we're going to do. Hello, Justin. So we're going to go up a little higher. And I got my hot chocolate ready for today. So that's good. Alright, so there's the feet. Now right here it's going to be a little bit different because we have his ear. Alright, so his ear is going to come right above the foot. So we're going to kind of mark it off here and here. We're going to give him kind of a big ear. Alright, and remember that's like a letter C when you put the ear in. Alright, we'll make it pointier a little bit later. But just like so. Alright, so that's right above the foot. And then his hat comes out over this way. This goes in a bit, so like so, okay. Now we got that done. Let's go to the other side. Now the other side is a little different. The other side has a tassel that goes down to the foot. We hide his ear on this side, okay? We're going to just put a big tassel here. And again, that's just like a half a C on one side. And you're going to put a half a C on the other side. Let's see if I can make that the same depth on both sides. I hope everybody's doing well and getting ready for Christmas. I know it's a different type of year this year. It's been cold here in PA. It hasn't been real warm, but that's okay too. It is winter after all. Okay, so we're going to bring this up and around like this. We're going to have his tassel come up a little higher on both sides. Alright, and then his hat just kind of goes past the tassel to the back. We're going to mark stuff off today. Alright, and so little Santa's helper is what we're working on today. My little elf version. And I've not made these before. This is brand new from last year. I was going to do some casting on them, and you know, I decided to get away from the casting stuff because it just was not my thing. I didn't care for it, and I decided to walk away. So I'm marking everything down where I think things are going to go here. Let's bring this down a little bit further. Okay, this is his ear on this side if you're just joining us. Alright, and then we're trying to work towards the back here a little bit. So this is going to come now. This is going to come up a little ways over the ear when we're done, when we do the other part here. But that's pretty well it for now. And then let's just put his face in for now, and then we'll have everything pretty well in there. So what we have here is his face. Of course, there's no beard on him, of course. And so it's similar to what you do with the snowman. It's not much different. What we're going to do is we're going to bring this down and around. And this is going to come down and around. I'm going to try to measure that a little bit. And this is going to go up a little bit further. Let me see. Yeah, it's got to go up just a tad further here. It's not always going to be the same when you work on these things. They're going to be a little bit different. Okay, and then his nose comes down. His chin and his nose. Perfect. Right there. So his nose will come here, and we'll put some eyes in him. Because, you know, eyes always look good on a thing. So we're going to start carving. Now we've got all the drawings done on it. Let me sharpen some of my knives today, which I was happy to do. It's always nice to have some extra sharp things around. Nothing's more frustrating than, yes, Hal, this will be on YouTube in about an hour after I'm done online here live. Now, a bit of my hot chocolate. It's that kind of day. It's been chilly. Alright, so we're going to do what we normally do. We're going to do the corner, the top of the hat here. And what you're going to do is just push in. And we're just going to scoop a little part out. Alright? Down over here, we're going to just scoop it out where the bottom part of the tassel is. And the foot. Just like so. Alright? Now we're going to go back to the back side, and we're going to just bring this up like so. Give us an idea where everything's going. And then we'll do the bottom part of the ear and where the foot meet. So we're going to just go straight in. Hello, Lori. There you go. So that's the foot, okay? That's the foot. So let's bring this foot up a little higher. That's a little bit. So this is the little guy we're working on today. Santa's little helper. Alright, so we're going to cut the top part of the ear off right now, where his hat's going to go. And we're going to start scooping this out at the top. going to scoop the back part of the hat out. I'm going to make this a little bit wet to help me cut it a little bit easier. Alright. And then over here on the tassel, we're going to do the top part of the tassel right here. And we'll worry about this, but we're going to just take a little bit off here at the corner. We're not going to go too crazy here. I love doing these small things. You know, you can do one or two in an evening usually. I guess some of you saw my tree that I put up. I made out of pallet wood. I really enjoyed that. That was fun to do. I really enjoyed doing that. I've been looking for a long time, how can I display these things like and have a shape of a Christmas tree? I looked at all kinds of ornament holders, and I didn't want to put up a hook at the top because a lot of people don't want the hook on it. They want to be able to sit it down, you know, in a collection type thing, or put it on a desk or on a shelf or wherever. And so I would say about 90% of the people don't even want to hook on it, even though it's an ornament. They like to just set it out. They didn't want to put a hole at the top. So when I ship these out online, since my shop isn't open, I add a hook to it, so you can add a hook to the top if you want to hang it in the tree. I don't put it on because most people prefer not to have it on there. So you're going to take all this rough stuff off. Okay, and I'm going to keep chopping away here. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little hefty, defty little V-tool. I had a heck of a time sharpening my other V-tool. I don't know, normally I don't have a problem doing that. I don't know what I'm doing wrong with it, but sometimes what I've found is if you're having a real problem sharpening, just a tip for you, if you're having a hard time sharpening any tool, walk away from it for a while and then go back to it later on. Because sometimes I just don't have the knack for it right at that time, but when I go back and I'm refreshed, I can usually get it to the way I want it. Alright, so what we're going to do here, we're going to follow this ear on the back side, on the outside of it. Okay, just like so. We're going to follow this line. There should be a line here for the hat. Okay, so we're doing the little elf or Santa's helper. I'll call him Santa's helper. He's a sitting elf, not the elf on the shelf type thing, but and we're going to go around this here. What you want to do is just cut right in and then along the side where the tassel's going to be, and we're just going to notch that out just like so, because that, there we go. You're going to do the same thing to the front. You're going to go straight in. You're not going to take it at an angle this way. You're going to go straight parallel with the corner. Okay. Oh, thank you, Al. I enjoyed doing that tree. There's a guy down the road here that was selling them, and I saw those pallets last year, and he just has it in the shape of a Christmas tree, and then I just added the shelves. I actually glued those shelves on. I'm having fun with my super gluer that I have, the Roby one that's battery operated. It's so cool. I do all kinds of stuff with it, and I find it's a lot of fun. So what we're going to do here, we're going to cut up on this side a little bit and away from that foot, and we're just going to start getting it. You don't really want to pull it, you want to cut it. Okay, and we're just going to bring this all the way around because we'll fix this up in a little bit here. Alright, so this is his ear. So usually I leave this alone where it attaches, but we're going to be cutting this in a little bit in a little while here. So we're going to keep trimming out around the hat here a little bit. I'm going to take my V-tool again. We're going to follow the hat down to the ear very carefully. You don't want to go too crazy, otherwise you'll end up pulling that out. Alright, and then we're going to go from this side over. So I'm trying to figure out where this line is here. So there we go. Now you want to kind of match it with this back here. What you're doing. Alright. So we're just going to go up here. And we got a good crowd today. And this will be on YouTube in about an hour after I'm done. Alright, now the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to notch it underneath his chin. Alright, hang on, one cord's in my way. Hang on just a second. Let me pull this out of the way here. Alright, I have enough things shaking. Alright. So we've got the hat kind of spaced out a little bit. We've got the back side. We've got this side over here to go yet. We're just going to follow that to the hat. This just gives me a guideline when I use the V tool. All right, that's just a good way to figure out exactly where the line goes. All right, so I'm going to put a little cut here. And you don't want to cut too much off at the corner, all right? So I'm just going to go in a little deeper. And I'm going to round this off down here. This is going to be his hands folded. Now, you can have him, I like him sitting. I like the idea of the sitting projects. They work pretty well. So we're going to take the V-tool again. We're going to follow his face up to the bottom part of his face, just like so. And we're going to do the other side the same way. Alright. So, next thing we're going to do is we're going to recut this out a little bit further from the hat. Okay? Remember, that's a guideline when I put that in. That's not the final line. And I'm going to cut from the bottom up. Just like so. I'm going to round this off a little bit at the top here. When you work with the blocks, you don't have a lot of room for things, but it can be very creative. This one block, which is the ornament series, I have like almost, if I had to count, I probably have 50 different items made out of the same block. And you folks saw that when you saw the display I had, or what I have on sale online. It's all the same size for the most part. I have some bigger pieces also for sale online. As I said before, my shop is not open because of the COVID. It's just not safe. Too small of a room. Okay, we're going to have to cut the feet out. So again, we're going to use this as a guideline here. So we're just going to follow on the outside of that. Okay. And we're going to do the same thing over here. We're just going to follow the outside. And that foot looks a little smaller, so let's just make this one a little smaller as well. Okay. There we go. He's coming along. Alright, so we're just going to keep chopping out a little bit. So we defined a little more. We're going to go to the back side here and do the same thing. We're going to define that line again. Alright, and we're going to go right behind the ear there. Now see how the ear here is really sticking out quite far? That's what we're going to do here with this ear. We're going to, work on bringing this out a little bit further and tucking this ear in a little further. Okay? right there at that corner. All the way on the back side, actually. And we're going to chop a little more off at the top. We want that ear to stick out. Definitely stick out. Okay. And then we'll redefine this as well right here. I'll get that done. Okay, we'll worry about that ear a little bit later, because you see, when I do the ear, we curve it in. So this doesn't have a lot of room right here, so we're actually going to curve it in almost to where that edge is when we do it. So now if you want to put ears on both sides, you can. You just skip the tassel and put the tassel up higher. You could do that as well. I just thought of that now. If I wanted to put 2 ears on him, I could easily do that. But it makes it a little easier. I think it looks a little cuter to have 1 ear covered. That's up to you. You can do it any which way you want. So what we're going to do here, we're going to cut this out a little bit more. We're going to bring this up just like so for his arms. Okay. Just cutting in a little bit by his feet there, and we're going to do the same thing with the bottom part of his face here. We'll worry about his face in a little bit here. Let's just get the basic stuff done already. Then you undercut from the bottom to the face, just like so. All right. We will have one more class next week, I think. And we're going to dig this out a little bit further. Okay, right here with the foot. We're going to dig this out a little further here. And actually, the whole face has to be tucked in a little bit. We'll come back to that in a second. What I like to do is try to get the face in right now. So let's figure out where his nose is going to go. So when you look at it, usually I have everything covered with a beard, but because the beard isn't flowing down anymore, or it's very short, and he doesn't have a beard, then you'll have to put in his chin and his lips. So we're going to just put his nose there. We're going to make it kind of large. I always say large eyes, large nose, bigger head. Always gives it a cuter fact. It gives it the cute factor, what I call a cute factor. And that looks a little crooked. Okay, so we're going to go up here and we're just going to bring this down and around. Okay, just like so. And the hardest part is matching both sides. And that doesn't match at all. So let's try that again. Now let's bring this out a little bit. Okay, I'll make it match one way or the other. Alright, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to look at this and see how... Okay, so we're going to go up a little higher. We're going to just bring it down. Alright, just cut it out first. Now you want to be careful. You don't want to trim all this off yet. You just want to cut the nose out. Alright, the bottom part of the nose. Alright, and now we're going to go up here. Let's see. If this brim is too small, it's not going to look right. This one's not real thick. A little more of a puffier nose. So you got to play it by ear a little bit. Let me bring this down a little bit. I'm going to just scoop this out a little bit here. And then we're going to start cutting it out, so that it looks a little more even. Okay, and I'm going to round this off just a tiny bit, just to give me an idea. Alright, so what I'm going to do is go right up here, and I'm going to match that line and that line. Okay, that looks pretty well where I want it to be. So you're going to go straight in, okay? You're not going to take it this way. You're not going to take it this way. You're going to go look at it from the front, and you're going to go straight in. So, because if you don't do that, your nose is going to be skinny. And I know I had one of my students said, you know, their nose always became skinny. And I said, well, how are you cutting it inside, you know, and sometimes I could tell she was cutting like this. Well, then you have to trim all that off because then you have a lot of these knife marks. So we're going to go to the top of the hat, and the deepest part is where the eye is going to be. A lot of people get hung up doing eyes, but the eyes are really, really simple. They can be as complicated as you want them to be, but I make things as simple as I can. Okay, so I'm going to carve around that right now, okay? Now we're going to go do the other side of the nose. So we're going to just, let me see how I can do that. I just want to make sure I make that nose pretty well the same. I'm so used to not wearing my glasses because I'm wearing a mask everywhere. I don't have one on either now. So let's take this out a little bit and take it out and around like so. And then you're going to cut at the top of the hat, because this is going to be your deepest part, is this part right here. Okay, right there. That's going to be your deepest part. Now I'm going to take this hat and I'm going to just trim a little bit more off so we have a little more room for the eye. Sometimes you can play around with that a little bit and just cut a little bit further out, and that will give you some room. All right, a little bit more maybe. It's very forgiving for the most part. You know, if you don't make that second cut when you do your first cut with the V tool and then you go back with a knife, if you don't make it that deep, you are able to expand this out a little further if you don't have room for the eye. So, you know, if you think, oh my goodness, I can't fit the eye in, well, yeah, you can. You just have to take a couple extra steps like I'm doing now. There's always a way of fixing these things, always. Well, let's say 99% of the time. In all the years I've carved, I've only thrown out maybe 3 or 4, maybe 5 out of all the carvings I did. And either it was because I couldn't get my head wrapped around what I was working and it wasn't looking like I wanted it to, you know, but that's how you learn. But usually if something goes wrong or you do a mistake, you can usually adjust it somehow. Okay, there we go. It's coming along. I'm going to trim this more of the hat. All right, so we have that. Now we're going to round off his face a little bit. Actually, we're going to keep going with the nose here. I have a habit of jumping around, as you can tell, because it's whatever I want to work on, that's what I work on. And if I see, oh, I got to work on this a little bit. And it doesn't hurt to do, to flip around from spot to spot. Sometimes you look at it and think, okay, I have to trim somewhere else, then you go ahead and do that. There's nothing wrong with doing it that way at all. None. There's no reason for it to be. There's no right or wrong way of doing this. You want to flip from one side to the other, that's up to you. All right. Let me trim this nose off a little bit more. Okay, and I like a little bit of a scoop in the nose. You see how I have the nose kind of scooped out a little bit? So what I do there is I just kind of gouge it out a little bit. Now, I'm going to trim the bottom part of his face right now. Okay, I'm going to just take a little bit off the thing here, and I'm just going to kind of round this off a little bit. Not exactly. There we go. Just like so. All right. Now, let me look at this for a second. Okay, right here, this needs to be cut in a lot more right here. So we're going to cut that out a little bit more. I want his face to stick out a little bit more. There, okay, perfect. That's what I want. Good. Same thing over here. This has to all go in a little bit further. And with the foot as well. So we're going to trim a little more off there. And at the foot. Okay. All right. He is merging. Okay, let's see. I must have gotten green on him. Oh, I did his hands green. I didn't like it. So what I did was I ended up making it white. That's why it looks like a little greenish white. And I didn't put a second coat on it. So I'm going to just round this off a little bit more. All right. And the same thing over here. We're going to just go in a little bit deeper. Trim this out a little bit more. And I'm trying to... Yeah, there you go. I'm going to round off his tassel a little bit too. Right there where his tassel and that meet, we're going to go up a little further here and bring this out a little bit better. Okay, we're going to go up a little higher that it goes around the corner. See how this is kind of rounded? I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to cut more off the head. I'm not happy with the shape there yet. Hello, Jim. And happy birthday, Beth. There we go. Maybe later on I'll show you how to make that palette tree if you guys decide you want one. I'm trying to think. Something's wrong with that foot. They don't look the same. Oh well. Okay, on the back side of the foot, we're going to cut out a little V. So what we want to do is just take it back a little ways. Not much. I usually put my finger against it. That gives me how far I have to go. Alright, and I'm going to round this off first on the back. He's sitting. And we're going to go from here. We're just going to do a nice little V cut right there. Okay? That's what we're doing. And we're going to go all the way to the top here. Alright, perfect. Alright, we're going to do the same thing over here. Usually you can do it at an angle if you want. A little bit off of that line. As long as you have a little bit of a V cut there, it's usually okay. We're going to bring this in a little bit more for the hat. You're welcome. I don't know what kind of winter we're going to get down here in PA. I don't think it's going to be that bad, but you never know. All right. Depends where in PA you are. We're on the eastern side. If you're near Pittsburgh and stuff, it's a lot worse. Okay. So I'm going to bring this in a little bit. And we're going to try to make a little bit more of a point there. All right. Round this up. And don't forget, you need to take all that rough stuff off. If you don't, it's going to show up when you paint. You know, if I didn't take the rough stuff off of here, this would be a lot darker if I missed this spot, because it soaks up the paint pretty well. It's the same thing when you sand. I don't do any sanding on mine. I only use a knife, so it's a nice clean cut. Some people sand their pieces. That's perfectly fine, but I find it's a lot more work, and I really hate to sand. It's not my favorite thing to do. It's probably much more least than trying to... I'm going to go up a lot higher here. One of my least favorite things to do is to sand wood. Do not care for it. I'm just bringing this up so the arms look a little thinner. Okay? So, we're almost there. Hello, Tony. Hello, Roy. We're going to bring this down here. Alright? This down here. Well, a little bit. A bit of curvature. Okay. And we're going to have a nice, big, friendly smile. Alright? And then the eyes are going to come out here. I don't know if... Let me take a look at this. Let me get my glasses on here for a second. I know they're in here somewhere. I thought they were in here somewhere. Let me pull this out for a second. Oh, here they are. Let me take a look at this real quick. Yeah, that has to be deeper. The most important thing sometimes is you don't have to do a lot of cuts on these to make things look deeper than they are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to file the nose again, okay? And I'm going to take it at an angle, just like so. Let's see if I got that in there right. And see, that gives it some depth. See that? I don't know if you could tell that. Alright, see how that gives it more of a shadow look? And sometimes that's all you need to make things look deeper and look a little bit more in depth. Especially if you're limited with how deep you can go with things. You know, if you get into relief carving, you'll learn a lot about doing that kind of thing. We're going to just go around here with the tip of the knife, and we're going to go right up to the side of the nose. Okay. We're going to round this nose off a little bit more. This is the only second one I've made of this, so yeah, it's a little different than doing your Santas, because you don't have that beard to hide the face. You actually have to... okay, so... Let me see if I can bring this in a little bit more. There we go. Perfect. Good. And I'm going to bring this down a little bit. There we go. Now, we're going to put the eyes in. Let me see if I can... Remember, big eyes. Make it look cute. Big eyes. And see, this is not a lot of room over here, so I'm going to try to bring this up a little bit further. Alright, there we go. I'm going to bring that down a little bit, and we're going to cut that out. Alright, so we're going to go down here, and we're going to try to... And you're going to cut it from the top down, okay? Just like so. Alright. Now I'll clean this up a lot more once I get offline before I paint it. I have like 20 items over here to paint, and I just cannot get into it this year to paint. But I'll tell you, I'll be geared up for next year if we have shows or whatever. If things pan out the way it's supposed to. You know, if we get the vaccinations and we, you know, things start going back to semi-normal, I'll be looking forward to that day, like everybody else. That we can get out and move about and stuff. Okay, so there's the two eyes, okay? Now, the face. Alright, now this is kind of, he has a little bit of a cheek there, right? So what we want to do is we just want to take our V-tool, okay? And I'm just going to kind of do a little bit of a rounded look to it, okay? We'll clean it up here in a second. Let me get this back in the camera. And, okay. So this is going to come down on this side. Now, I didn't put nostrils in him, but you can. If you want to make it a little fancier, you can put some nostrils in him, okay? And then we're going to do the same thing over here. We're going to just trim this all down. We're going to get rid of all this rough stuff, kind of blend it all together. All right, and then we're going to trim all that, anything that has a rough edge or that square edge, that is right here. You see there's a little corner here. I usually just trim that off a little bit. It doesn't have to be by much, you know, but if you want to make that a little deeper, you can. But let me take a look. Whoops. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the V tool very lightly, and I'm going to go above that line a little bit. And we're going to go straight across his face to the other side, just like so. Okay? There we go. Now, what I do here sometimes is I bring this down a little bit right underneath the lip. Alright, that sticks out a little bit where his lip is. Okay? And let me take a look at this. I'm going to bring this down a little bit. I'm not real happy with that. It's sticking out. He's got a lip sticking out too far. Let's just bring this down a little bit more. Alright, we're going to recut that a little bit. Alright, I think we'll leave that alone. Okay, we're going to go back to his ear. Here, there isn't too much to do with his foot. The foot, what I do is I usually trim that off a little bit, like so, and I make sure it's into a point. Alright, take all the markings off. And then I put a little heel in here, just like so. Alright, that's his foot, okay? Look, if you look at the bottom of a wooden shoe, it kind of looks the same way. I'm just finishing up my hot chocolate, folks. Sorry. So that's one foot. Let's see if we can get the other one done. So I brought it in a little bit. Okay. I'm going to bring it in a little bit here, a little bit here. Trim this rough stuff off. Okay. And I'm just going to nick it right there a little bit because the heel of the shoe is a bit too long. Okay. Now that does not look the same, but it's going to be what it is. Can't always make it perfect. And we're going to put a little heel in here. Okay, that's it. So there's his feet. Okay. I use what's called, this is a lot of people ask me this. The knife that I'm using is a Rough Rider knife. You have to regrind the whole blade before you have this shape or any other shape on it. It is a number R282, I believe it is. And if you get one, you're going to have to grind it down and reshape it all. And I only use 1 or 2 blades out of the whole thing. I have one that's longer here, a longer blade, and I use that a lot, like when I need to get into places, like now. I want to take all that rough stuff off. I can actually do that. So let me keep going, but that's what somebody asked about, what knife I use, and that's what I use. So let me get this a little bit wet. Okay, so we're going to start on his ear next. The ear is not too difficult. All you're going to do is scoop it out top and bottom. And you notice I take one half and then I take the other half, because I'm afraid if I don't do that, I'm going to end up cutting it. And we're going to take it to the front here. Hello, Rhonda. We're doing an elf today. Santa's little helper. Okay. So let me take a look at this. And we're going to trim the ear out a little bit more rounded at the bottom here. A little more to a point up here. All right. And we're going to take it down all the way. I keep scooping it out towards the front. Okay. Now this has to be distinct. That's behind the ear, right? Or up around the ear. This is going to go in a little bit deeper. And they usually have a big ear, so I'll be all right. Thank you. Thank you, Jane. So, you know, the ears are a little bit tricky to do. They're not the easiest ones to do, but it doesn't have to be that complicated. So, see how I have the ear rounded? Now, it's a little tough to get that exactly cleaned up. Then what I usually do is I take my knife and I cut. I do a little bit of a deeper cut, so it looks like the ear is sticking out a little bit more. Okay, just like so. Okay, so like this is the back of the ear here. Okay. I'm going to trim this down as well. We're just going to take this off here. All right. All right, so we have the ear we're still working on. So what I do is I usually take one of my gouges. Of course, I don't have them with me right now. Okay, I have a small one. This is all I need. All right, so I'm going to kind of take that out of there a little bit. And what I have here is I have one, like, I go around with a small gouge, or actually the V tool. So I'm going to mark that. I'll show you in just a second. I'm just going to take it from here. We're going to go up and around. And we're just going to do it like so. Like you're making a C inside the ear. Now your knife really has to be, your V tool really has to be sharp. So we're going to just go on one side. And is this technically correct? I don't know. This is just the way I do them. And then I put another one down the center. All right, just like so. That's it. Now you can, let me see how I should have practiced on one beforehand, but I just didn't do it. All right, so I'm going to make a little hole right there with my knife. All right, right there. Okay. All right. And that's all the ear right here. And you want that ear to stick out. That's kind of the feature on this little guy, little helper. All right. All right, so you got the ear done. All right. You got the, let me see if I did that right. Yeah. Let's go in a little deeper. You can fuss with this, you know, when you're doing this. Hello, Ann, how are you? All right, so we've got his nose pretty well done. Right here, you can always make it a little bit deeper as well. Right there, a little bit if you want. And that makes that nose stick out just a tiny bit more. You know, those little cuts make a big difference on a piece. you know, and it makes it a lot more fun. All right. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to put in his hands. Okay, hands have to be next. So his face is done, his ear is done, his feet are done, his tassel semi-done. we'll get to that. And hang on just a second. Cold chocolate milk, but still chocolate milk. All right, so let me just tuck this in a little bit more. I like to cut a little bit of that off. So let me just bring this down a little bit more. We're going to kind of define this corner here a little bit more. There we go. I like that. That looks better. All right. All right. Now, what we're going to do here is the hands are he's got mittens on. So, but I also I put little hands in there. So you're going to go on one side and the other side at an angle. Okay, kind of put it in the middle, and then you're going to take your knife and you're going to go straight down on both sides, and you're going to cut up to the sleeve. And right there you want to make that a little deeper. Okay, right there. Perfect. And you're going to do the same thing over here. You're welcome, Lee. Thank you for watching. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate your support, and I've had a lot of nice comments about the folks are enjoying the live video, but you won't miss anything. If you miss one, it will be on YouTube later. So that you don't have to worry about. Okay, so there is now this has to be separated. So we're going to take and we're going to just do a little bit of a U shape, just like so. All right, and we're going to use the knife again, and we're just going to go in kind of deep, and we're just going to undercut where it's overlapping for his hands. All right, then I round this off a little bit. Remember, I don't like any sharp edges except for the sleeves. That I don't mind. Now, you can be really creative. If you want to give him cuffs, you can do cuffs. If you want to just leave it the way it is, I'm going to put a little bit of fingers in there just to chew. What I'm going to do, I'm going to do it with the knife. I'm just going to put one here, a V-cut, another V-cut, just like so. All right, so we're getting there. The next thing we're going to work on is the hat. So we're going to bring this down. I'm going to work on this tassel. We're going to go on the back side of this tassel, come up a little bit. I'm going to make this a little bit wet again because it just helps me. I use a solution which is water and the 70% rubbing alcohol. Lately we've been able to find alcohol in the stores again. We'll wait to see how long that's going to be. I'm going to take my longer knife and I'm going to just trim off all the rough stuff. Okay, we're going to bring this down a little bit here. Yeah, look, this is good only for, this isn't really a carving knife, it's just to trim stuff off when I can't reach it with a regular knife. I don't use it all the time, but I prefer the smaller ones better. Let me make this head a little more rounded. I don't like to have it squared if I don't have to. Alright, that looks nice and rounded. Okay, because we have to put the other thing in yet. And when you look at it, notice here, there's a bump there. See that? You wouldn't see it from here, but you want to kind of trim all that off. Let me just take a second here to speed things up a little bit. It's hard not to have it close to your body when you cut. You know, like a foot away from it. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do with this is we're going to put the brim on. So the brim's going to come behind the ear. We'll do the back side first. You can make this as wide as you want. That's up to you. I usually follow it out. Oh, before I start, I'm going to take this V-tool and I'm going to go up and around, just like so. I'm going to make this a little deeper. Alright, and I'm going to do the back side the same way for the tassel. Alright, right here, we're going to make this a little bit, clean this up a little bit more. There we go. And I'll do more cleanup when I get off the line here to take care of it. This will be on a DVD later on when I get one more project. I'll try to keep the DVDs coming. Or you can watch it on Facebook, whatever you like. Alright, so there's that nice big tassel. Alright, I like that. That looks good. Like I said, you can put the ear on both sides if you want. That's entirely up to you. You can shape this any way you want. So, we're going to have this down here, and this coming up around here. Okay, that looks pretty good right there. So again, I'll take my V-tool and if your V-tool is sharp, you should be able to go any direction you want with your wood. It's really important to remember to keep them sharp. It makes carving so much more fun. It does. Nothing's more frustrating than something that's not sharp. One of these days I'll bring the sharpening machine here and I can show you what I use to sharpen my tools. I do have a couple of videos on it, but I'll do a live broadcast on it sometime in January. I'll do that for you. Alright. Hard to believe it's going to be January in a while, or even Christmas. It's a lot happened this year for sure for so many people. Including myself, a lot's been happening. But, so I'm going to cut. I usually do another cut around. The other advantage when you do this cut around, when you go to paint it, it doesn't usually, it gives it like a stop where it can bleed into the other side. So when you do it, when you do this cut, you're not going to do it all the way to the bottom. Hello, Donna. Say hi to Ruli for us, okay? When you get a chance. And wish her a Merry Christmas from me, if you would. Alright, now. So this is kind of weird, so we're going to cut this back a little bit, flatten this out a little bit. There we go. We're getting there. Just a couple more minutes here, and I should have this pretty well done. Now, if you want, you can dig this out and put what I call, if I have one of my carvings, of course I don't have my carvings here, they're all on the tree. I would put, thank you, T. I would put a you can put a fold in here, and I'll show you that next time around if you decide you want to do that. It's not difficult to do. All right, let's see here. And again, we're going to just take all this rough stuff off. All right. And I'm going to clean this up more when I'm offline. All right, so next thing you're going to do, and I'm only going to do partial of it, is we're going to do the brim, and I always go in the same direction out to the outside, and then I turn it around and I go the other way, and I always do it at an angle. Okay, you get over here, it's a little trickier. I just turn it around and I go from the other way until I pass that ear, and then I go around again. I'll finish that up later, but I'm just going to show you how the front's done and how the tassel's done, and like I said, I'll take care of the rest later on, just to save some time. Alright, and then down here we're just going to go in the opposite direction again. You want to be so careful you don't hit the eyeballs. That's not good to poke into their eyes. It's not going to look right. And I kind of just mesh it together. You know, go back over it a couple of times in different directions. A little bit of an angle, and you know, kind of just mesh it together. I'll turn it around, go the other way. Okay, so that's what that looks like. Alright. Alright, and let's see here. And the tassel. We always go in the same little bit of curvature. I just ordered some more lumbers for these. This is the 4th order I put in. A lot of you have bought lumber this year, or the basswood. And these I'll have here. I want to be short over the winter in case we have some bad weather or something, and he couldn't get it out sooner. So, all right. So that's where I'm going to stop. Oh, one little thing. It's nice on these things if you put a little folds in near their elbow. And that's pretty simple. If you want to mark it, so you can mark it and usually like a V or so. Oh, thank you, Jack. Miss you guys coming down for sure. But anyway, there we go. And then do it the next one. You want to do it kind of deep so you can see it when you paint it. Alright, just like so. And the same thing over here. And alright, folks. There is our little Santa's helper. And I'll put, you know, it's gonna look different, of course, when I paint it and all that, but it's roughly the same. A little different. Whoops, a little different. I think they're about the same. Well, maybe this one's a little thicker. maybe the cut was a little bit different. But I hope you enjoyed this one. I'll see what I can do next week. Let me think that one over. I have an idea, I just haven't made it yet, so I'll come up with something. So I hope you have a great night. Thanks for joining me again here on the Carver's Woodshop. Good night, everybody.